What's up everyone, we are 2 days away from the finale of Big Brother 23 and everybody is fighting for the crown and some people believe that they have played the best game. I bet you can't guess who it was. Folks, we've got so much to talk about, so welcome to your live feed update. Alright guys, now right before we get started, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please hit the like button. It helps me out more than you know with the YouTube algorithm. It gets my content out there further, and if you can hit the like button, I just appreciate it massively, folks. And whilst you're at it, please hit the bell icon to get notified every single time a brand new upload goes live on the channel. Okay folks, it's question of the day as always, and today's is very relevant to what we're going to be talking about in regards to Big D's game and what he believes he has achieved in his game. So, today's question is as follows. Do you guys think, assuming he makes the final two, hypothetically, will Big D earn any jury votes? I'll say that again. Will Big D earn any jury votes this season if he reaches the final two, which is very, very likely? I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts. You can let me know if you think he is going to receive any, and if he is, who do you think it's going to be? You know, because I feel like it's kind of a two-part of that one, isn't it? But that's today's question, and I guess we'll kind of rehash it over tomorrow. Do you think anybody is going to vote for Big D if he makes it to the final two? Right, let's jump into the live feed updates. And there was a point in the day where Azah, X, and Big D were talking about how, you know, in the jury house they feel like everybody is tired and probably just wants finale to arrive just as much as they do. I mean, to me, when I kind of separate the two, I feel like I'm looking at literally two different worlds. I feel like the jury house looks like somewhere that I even would love to go visit now just to hang out with them all. And I look at the Big Brother house right now and I wouldn't really want to be there. I don't know what you guys think. I mean, imagine getting to just like, it looks like, even when we just see the small tiny like packages, VT packages that we get for the jury house. I mean, it just looks like so much fun. I mean, they're just kind of, and even if you all follow the Big Brother CBS handles online on Twitter and on Instagram and everywhere, Facebook, you'll see like all the stuff they're doing, just kind of hanging out playing sports, and I'm sure they just get to kind of sit by the pool all day and drink, and it does look like a lot of fun, let's be honest. And the coolest people are there. There's Tiffany there, there's Derek X, there's Claire. I mean, it doesn't even look like anybody's kind of pissed off about the game either. You know, Brittany's there, Sarah Beth, Alyssa, Hannah. It's just everybody just looks. I've probably missed a couple of people here and there because I don't think Kylan goes to jury house. The final four person usually is put into a hotel until the jury round table. But folks, yeah, it just looks like so much more fun over there. Whereas the house, I think we can all vouch for them. As we watch the live feeds, it is kind of very, very, you know, falling asleep. It's kind of that. And I think, like I said, two different worlds, and it looks like a lot more fun in the jury house. So maybe the jury house don't want the game to end just yet, because it does look like a lot of fun. But I'm sure it'll be nice to get a little bit of freedom when the game finishes. But in the normal house, for sure, it is dragging a little bit, so it's understandable that they are saying that. But definitely two different worlds, in my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think on that one. Now, Azah is spending a lot of time cuddling with X. I don't know if it's a strategy. I would assume it kind of is. I mean, I guess there's probably a little bit of both in there, because we obviously know earlier in the season Azah announced her crush on X. Although I can't help but feel in Big Brother there's always kind of something extra to gain, even when you're doing something as simple as that with someone. You know, it's just a cuddle, but is it just a cuddle in Big Brother or Survivor or whatever, you know, social game that you watch? You know, I feel like it can benefit your game and help. You know, I mean, you don't see Big D and X cuddling. You know, it's Azah and Azah and X, but X is smart enough to cut the BS there and realise that he is more likely to win against Big D. He will win against either of them, but I would say Azah's just trying to kind of enhance her chances just in case X was to win part 3 of the final head of household competition. She wants to enhance the chances that X is going to take her, but it's not going to happen. Listen, he's got his eyes on the prize. He's playing the game hard, and you know, speed to him for that. You know, I just think that's brilliant that he's kind of just focused and he's got that laser focus on the $750,000. He's going to win either way, but I think he wants to make it more of a landslide victory and probably more entertaining for us. I don't think he brings that into it, but I feel like it'll be more entertaining for us watching Big D trying to pitch his case to the jury that he's played the best game, which we will talk about very shortly. Very, very interesting moment in the day, but we'll get into that shortly. But yeah, Azah, I feel like there's an element of just kind of realness as well as kind of trying to, you know, benefit her game and go for it. Honestly, I mean, I think that's great. You know, when there's not much else you can do, you know, you're kind of in the hiatus or the waiting room of waiting for part 3. What else can you do apart from work your social game? Not much strategy you can do at that point, because really it kind of comes down to if she's going to be able to take herself or if X is going to take her. So social game is key at this point during this thing, and then all of a sudden it becomes the physical comp takes over again. I feel like strategy kind of lessens when it gets down to 3 people, but all the way up until F4, strategy is very, very key, but social and physical are kind of backwards and forwards in the final 3, but it always lands on physical as it comes to, and I guess strategy comes into it in regards to who you're going to be taking to the final 2, if you do win the final head of household competition, but I would say primarily this season especially it's physical, because whoever wins this final one is probably going to win the game, because both plan on taking Big D. They've both said that, so it really does come down to whoever wins this comp. But strategy is always key in Big Brother, but not necessarily in this final 3 situation. Conversation turned to Kyland later in the evening when Big D and Azah were discussing his exit and kind of saying they want to remember the good side, was what they said of Kyland. I think they are kind of in shock just as much as we are, I guess, on the outside. I mean, y'all saw me talk about, over the past couple of days, even on, Thursday night, when I think it was even like half an hour after the eviction, I was kind of sat like, did that really happen? And even days after, it doesn't seem like it happened, if that makes sense. I feel like we haven't had anything like that in a long time in Big Brother, something as abrupt as that. It's usually just kind of blindside and then heading out the door, and not saying much, but to have someone kind of, or have some, I guess, drama, we'll call it, it kind of mixes things up a little bit and makes you go, did that really happen? I mean, this isn't 2007 or whenever, when we actually had that kind of stuff going on. I think it was just one of those moments where, and I think the house guests are feeling that as well, where it was like, did that happen? It was weird, But, Big D was saying he couldn't stand by the fact that, he brought in X's family on the way out, and and about Kai taking the ring, I think. But, I mean, I'll slightly stick up for Kyland with the whole ring thing. I mean, it's weird because I feel like naturally you should probably just take the ring off and maybe just hand it back to Big D, or just throw it on the floor, something like that. At least it's not taking it. I don't know. Throwing it on the floor is probably a bit far, but Big D shouldn't have gave Carlin the ring, knowing fully well he was going home. It adds to the blindside aspect, I guess. So thank you for that. But on a moral level, you can't help but kind of go, maybe Big D shouldn't have given him the ring if he's going to make a big deal out of him taking it. After he blindsided him, it's kind of understandable. But I feel like most people probably would have just taken the ring off and put it on the table on the side, or just left it in the house rather than taking it with him. But listen, Big D gave him it, and as collateral, so I guess Kylan's got a right to take it. Maybe a right is the wrong word to use, but you kind of got to expect it when he was going to blindside him. That's what I'll say on that one. Now, Big D spent a chunk of the day practicing his jury speech for the final 2. And, of course, in true Big D fashion, I have played the best game, and he truly believes this. He's saying, I've played the best game, better than anyone. I always find myself doing like a moment of silence or just speechlessness when I discuss this kind of thing, because it's really, really difficult to justify and talk about Big D being right in that situation, because we all know that Big D has not played the best game this season. He's got himself to the final 3, which is impressive, but did he get himself to the final 3, or was he dragged to the final 3? Was he carried to the final 3? But then again, you kind of got to go, maybe a social game merited him getting this far. There's arguments for and against, but I feel like the deck is stacked heavily against Big D. And here's a funny stat I want to share with all you guys as well. Big D is the first person since Dr. Will to get to the final 3 without winning a competition. Just digest that for one moment, folks, and I'm going to say it again. Big D is the first person since Dr. Will Kirby, mastermind of Big Brother, to get to the final 3 without winning a competition. Just let it marinate. Just silence for a moment. Take it in. What does everyone think of that? I think it's crazy. I really do. There is no way, no way, I repeat, no way I would put Dr. Will and Big D in the same bracket of gameplay or house guest or caliber of player in the game. But there's something in it that makes you go, damn, about that fact. Because Dr. Will at least brought strategy to the game. Big D believes he has brought strategy to the game, but I don't really think he has. I think for him to say that he has played the best game is deluded, to say the least. And that's not a personal attack on Derek. That's just, I'm critiquing gameplay. I always feel I have to specify this because there's so many people in the modern day when you see on social media take things out of context. Oh, he's been like, no, listen, I'm critiquing game and not him on a personal level. The gameplay aspect of Big D is delusional. So take that with what you will, folks. You know, what do you think of that whole Dr. Will and Big D comparison? I don't think you can compare them, but it is crazy that they do fit into that same category of making it to the final three without winning the comp. It's crazy how players can be so far apart in regards to the caliber of their gameplay, yet fit into such a distinct category. I think that's crazy, but I'd love to hear everybody's opinion on that. I think there was a thing the other day where I think Azah and Big D were kind of talking about Big D's game, and Big D said people have compared my game to Dr. Will, and I'm thinking, who said that? If somebody can, like, because I'm open to hearing this, but if somebody can find me a moment where somebody has called Big D's game similar to Dr. Will, I'd love to hear it, because I don't recall, obviously, you know, I don't watch the live feeds 24/7, but I don't recall hearing anybody, not a single house guest who's been evicted or in there right now, say that Big D's game is similar to Dr. Will. I mean, perhaps Big D's game, Big D has said he's similar to Dr. Will, but I haven't heard anybody else say it. You know, it's kind of like people have said it, and I'm like, what people? You know, like, I don't know. I'd love to see Dr. Will's reaction to this as well. This would be funny if, you know, this was brought, if Dr. Will is hosting the roundtable this year. I don't have a clue who's doing that. I know Danielle Reyes has campaigned for her and Jason to host it, which would be fantastic in my eyes. Listen, Jason and Danielle or Dr. Will, I'd be a happy guy. But that would be interesting if that would be brought up in front of Dr. Will, and Dr. Will had his reaction to that. That would be, that would be a chef's kiss ending to Big Brother 23 to see Dr. Will's reaction to Big D and him being compared in the same category, because we know that is just kind of disgraceful to one of the best players of Big Brother ever, compared to arguably one of the worst, or if not the worst. Not my words, the words of many people on social media, but I kind of have to side in thinking that Big D is probably one of the worst to play the game. He's a very entertaining guy, don't get me wrong there, but in regards to gameplay, it has to be kind of lower level. Certainly not with Dr. Will, let's just put it that way. Now that is all of your live feed updates for today, folks. I thoroughly hope you all enjoyed watching. We are getting so close to finale night now, with Big Brother 23 coming to an end. I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on this week so far in the comment section below. Are you happy that X won part 1? Are you happy that Azah won part 2? Who would you like to see win part 3 and essentially win Big Brother 23? And obviously linking back to the question of the day, do you think that Big D is going to receive any jury votes from any members of the jury, and who are they if you think that is a yes? But folks, I'll say as I always do, make sure that you're staying safe, staying positive and staying healthy out there, and be kind to one another, okay? Be kind to one another. But folks, in the meantime, please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. But until your next live feed update, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.